Hello. So I figured I'd do a breakdown. I've had a lot of time on my hands to make music because I've had like a large break for winter away from work. So I've had a lot of time on my hands. So I figured that's why I've been putting out tons of videos and tons of music. But I figured I'd do a breakdown of this song that I did. Um, so a lot of the things are kind of sampled. It's the sound design I kind of did in the past, and then I just took the samples from the sound design I did in the past and then just added it to the song. I think that's super helpful. Have sessions where you do sound design and you just make sounds and you don't even plan on making a song, and then you can take those samples from those sessions where you did the sound design and then just put it into a song. It makes it so much easier. So this is my all of my samples right here in the Pax Austins, and I have all my know loops and random stuff. I could probably do better at organizing some of this stuff. But yeah, I have like also, that's a riser I made in the past. Some stems. Just some random noises that I've done in the past. But yeah, anyways, I think I'm trying to find exactly where I found some of these samples. I made like a vocal loop. Yeah, so I just did a simple vocal loop like vocal loop like that. With some pitch modulation and some like, stutters, added, and then I kind of just put them into the song. But then I took one of those sounds and I kind of pitched it up like that. I think that's the beginning of this right here. So I have this sound right here, which is literally just it's just a FM sine wave. I cut out the beginning so that I could let a little more of the kick in just in case the compression wasn't happening, but I'm pretty sure the sidechain compression is working. But all it really is just a chorus before some crazy sine shaping distortion. So by itself it's kind of weak, but then when you add the chorus, it doesn't really do a whole lot. Even with the chorus, it doesn't even sound like it does a whole lot. But when you add this sine shaping distortion, it kind of brings out all of that stuff that you couldn't hear as well before. So this is without the chorus, and then with. And it's crazy because if you don't have the distortion, it doesn't really sound like it's doing that much, but it really is. And I set it to a fourth, a quarter note. And then I just kind of like messed with the delays properly, added not a ton of depth, because if the depth's too high, it's going to be hard to distinguish, what note it is. And that does actually give a really cool sound, but that's not really what I was going for. But it's more tame if you turn the depth down. And then, some OTT after that. Just to, get, the OTT can really bring out those highs a little bit more if you, the up-down compression. And then I didn't think, I didn't like that. I think that it needed a little bit more, so I took that vocal and I kind of put it on top of that. And then with the kick, to me that just sounds crazy big now. And then there's these chops over here, which is insane. I forgot where I even got this sample from. I know I did make it. Dying to tell you, it tells me where. I think it was part of my stems. I did a sound design session, and it was somewhere in there. Dying to tell you, D minor. It's apparently not in here. I think this is it. Oh yeah. Well, it is part of this. And that was just a sound design session I had with pitch map, and I just experimented with, I don't know, different sounds, making different sounds with pitch map. And to be honest, I don't 100% remember what I do. I'd have to go back to that session that I was in, that sound design session, and break that down specifically. But yeah. But I also layered it with this kind of that high pitched sound. I hear that a lot in like dubstep. So what I did was that's this right here. So what I did was I side chained. So I took this original sound, this rhythm groove, and I set that as the source for the side chain for this sound, so that when this sound is playing, right, in between the gaps of this sound, you hear this kind of like screechy noise, which I muted somewhere here. And then what I'm also doing is I'm applying a similar stereo spread. So all of the, the basses that I have a similar stereo spread and a similar compression. And when you do that, it kind of glues all of, like, I haven't done this. This is a new thing that I tried out. So all of my wubs or, big sounds are going into the same type of compression, which kind of almost glues them together. So when I play these sounds back to back now, let me play this. They almost sound like they fit together now. They sound a little more glued together when you. So all of these. So this is in the wubs. This sound is going to wubs. That sound I described earlier, along with this annoying screechy sound. And that sample is also going to wubs. They're all being compressed similarly, and they're all, being stereo spread similar, very similar stereo spread. And then I just put a limiter on to just kind of, crush the higher content, especially with that, those louder sounds, just to make sure that everything is, all of the wubs are kind of at the same level, and that I feel like things sound less coherent if all of the wubs are like different volumes. I'm calling them wubs, or all of the basses are at different volumes. But if you try to, as much as you can, I know this one's a little quieter, if you try to get them hitting close to the same volume as much as possible, then I feel like it just sounds more coherent on all together, and the kick kind of adds to the sound too. So I feel like it doesn't need to be as loud. And then I, added my vocal chops here. Which somewhere here. I don't remember where they are, but I added white noise to the background of this. And I need, I think I turned it down here, so. And I think that noise really adds to the drums. And just like a little bit of detail that kind of, I think, adds to the sound in general. Then I have a growl that I made in Patcher. Did FL Studio crash? Because every time I play this now, nothing happens. Oh, my MIDI controller's on. I'm like, why can't I play any notes? I gotta wait for my MIDI controller to turn on. Here we go. The device is probably used by another. Well, it's working. Is there another FL Studio open? Is that what's going on? Oh, there is. Wow, that's funny. That's what I did earlier. So now try this, turning this off and on again. There we go. So yeah, this is just, a growl thingy that I did. patcher. I just made a. So I really like. So I added a reverb. The reverb, I think, it really adds to the sound. So I'll turn all these effects off. I can remember how I did this. So it's mainly just kind of like a sine wave. And this thing right here, you don't have, this is just for the higher frequency content, but it's really, most of the sound is just coming from this saw wave. I'm sorry, not a sine wave, a saw wave. I just kind of like high passed it a little bit, and then I downsampled it. And I think that downsample with that resonance in the lower area kind of gives it some more vocally qualities, especially when you add the original to it, like without. You can hear that four. I always said formats before, but I meant to say formants. I don't know why I say formats, but I meant to say formants. You know, is your voice, you know, that gives you the vocal like qualities. And then I added the reverb filter. Really does add a ton to the sound. That alone is doing a ton, and then the panning is adding to that vocal quality. I'll show you without the panning. Let's turn this off. It's kind of spreading. It's more evident after you add the other effects. Then, you know, OTT and a little bit extra reverb to like spread everything out. There's a weird thing when you release. There's probably too much release. But then I added another serum effects, and what I did was, you know, this is without these effects. Add to the formatty sound. I kind of added a format filter, and then cut the lows a little bit more, and then added some more sine folding at the end to give it more aggression or whatever. And then this is helping the sound a lot, just, you know, some phasiness. That's without, this is with. There's a lot less movement in the bass without, you know, when you don't have this. And you know, this is the side bands. I'm trying to remember. This takes it. This is messing with the stereo image a little bit, but I'm pretty sure this is making sure that it's in the left and the right side band, and then this is like taking it out of the left side band. Something like that. I don't 100% remember. And then, you know, some more EQ, still trying to make sure. And then this is, you know, separating it for the low end. I have a different sound, just it's a sine wave with a little bit of compression for the low end. I mean, sorry, distortion. So, you know, there's a little bit of harmonics in that low end from the distortion. And I'm cutting the 300 so it doesn't, around 30 hertz, so it doesn't seem as messy. Then compression to like, multi-banded compression to kind of like make it sound a little nicer and glued together. This is what I mean. I don't think, at the root of it, I don't think sound design is insanely hard. Usually when you make a certain sound, like there's usually the same type of steps. In this higher frequency content, I can just add in, just mix in if I ever wanted to. But no, I don't usually want to do that. You can tell. But the panning definitely helps add to that width of the sound. You know, by spreading that delay reverb, filter reverb, and just kind of like panning it left and right, it really definitely helps add to the width of the sound. Sounds like a ton, like a lot bigger. So that's that sound. And then this is just another sound design session I did before. Call it Shrimple Wub. And that was what did I do? I guess I could go back to that session, but I have to find wherever the heck I did that session at. I don't really 100% remember what I did for that sound. But sound design is just all about experimenting, doing. Eventually, you'll get to know what certain things, certain effects do, and how to layer the effects and what kind of what to take out, what to filter. This sound, is this another sound design session called Fuzzy Finder? Apparently. Oh, this is actually the bass thingy from when I did that video where I made a song with only sine waves. But I'm not using that. I'm using it's called. Oh, it's. Apparently, that's one of those. Some sound in there was 140, but it's not this one. Yeah, I'd have to go through this and figure out where the heck. But I think that high-pitched vocal layered with that that bass just really adds to that. And then I take it out over here because I don't know, just to kind of change the sound, change how it sounds throughout the song, I guess. But I tried to keep I tried to keep follow the drum groove with this this pattern as much as I could and try to repeat the pattern. So I have this A section right here, and then I kind of repeat it but change it a little bit in this B section over here. So we have different sounds. In this part I have this sound. Wait. I have that sound for that first part, and the second part I have this sound. Which apparently, I think I did. There's still effects on some of these sounds. Oh yeah, for the high screechy thing, I forgot. It wasn't in the frequency area that I wanted it to be. This thing. This noise. That noise. So I just kind of pushed it up, closer to where I wanted it to be. So if I solo this. Apparently that snare wasn't being sent to anything. I was lazy about putting everything in the mixer, I guess. So, without this frequency shifter, it does sound a little weird, and Where is Serum? Yeah, oh, I just used 3x Ask. It's funny because it says Serum. Oh, that might just be for the sub. Here it is. It's just, all it is I just made a, a screechy kind of sound. So I just did, I keep saying that, a sine wave being FM'd from a saw wave, and that gives you that screechy sound with a little bit of distortion, and then, a little bit of reverb being added, and, some dimension expansion to, make it wider. But that's a simple way to get that, screechy type sound. But if I play it without this frequency shifter and all these effects, or I could just, do this. This is how it sounds without the effects, right? But the problem is it's covering a huge amount of the frequency spectrum. So yeah, without the effects, it's covering way too much of the frequency spectrum, and that I only want it to be, a minor part of the, the main sound. That I wanted. Let me turn the effects back on, mute this, unmute everything else. I wanted this thing to be part of the main sound, and that screech only to be playing when, this thing wasn't. So I kind of pitch shift this up a little bit, so as you can tell, it's not covering as much of the frequency spectrum, but it's still it still sounds pretty nice. And when it's sidechained, so this sound is being sent. You can see it ducking, but I can't remember where I added the side chaining. Oh, I added it. No, I didn't. Oh, here we go. So this is being sidechained to this screech, and then we see in this, I'm using this as a compressor, or sidechaining it from here, and then it's ducking that really big gun-like sound. And then without it, I don't know, I feel like it sounds better with that. See, when I turn off the effects, it just sounds, I mean, it works, but I feel like there's some clashing going on with the frequencies. So, with the effects and the pitch shifting, I feel like there's not as much clashing or whatever with the specific frequencies. In the build up, this first section, this was something I made in the past, which all it really was sine waves. I think it was just like a simple sine wave, just kind of, arpeggiated chords or whatever. But then I just added some ring modulation, and it gave it this really cool sound after I sampled it. Yeah, without the ring modulation. But usually, because the ring mod is adding like some, so like for like bells or whatever, bells usually have, how do I put it? Timbre, metallic sounds usually have like things that, especially in the higher ranges of the frequency content, things that aren't exactly like a perfect harmonic of the root note. So they might be like spreading out the harmonics to where they're not perfectly a perfect harmonic of the root note, and they might just be kind of like scattered or spread out a little bit, and that ring mod kind of helps make it have that like metallic-y kind of sound. Then I muted some of these sounds because there are things I was gonna add and I decided not to. And then this sound right here, this bass, is literally just some sound I just took and I just did a single cycle. I found a single cycle of some sound, and I'm just literally looping through it. I'm using the sampler as the sampler as a synth, kind of a little bit to make it simple. I had a little bit of an envelope to the beginning of the sound, just hopefully that it doesn't affect the kick, but I'm pretty sure it's fine because I have the side chaining. And I was wanting to do something with the filter, but I decided not to, and I just kind of kept it the way it was. And it looks like I do have, a little bit of pitch modulation to give it a little more thump in the transient or whatever. Yeah, it's giving it a little more like thumpiness, I guess. And then, I spread the stereo in the high end. Oh, I apparently didn't do anything to the stereo content in the high end, but I have it on there. So that's the low. Oh, this is just for the low content. That's what this is. I'm making it mono with this stereo effect. So the left is in the left channel. So that just there's none of the right channel coming in. So I'm just making it mono, isolating the sub frequencies for the low end content, and then for the high end content, I'm spreading the phases and adding a little bit of delay between the left and right to like make it a little wider. OTT. You can see without the OTT, this high-end stuff is kind of just not there. Then with the OTT, kind of adds in that high-end information again. And then a little bit of... I turn this off. Then that resonance kind of just adds to the sound a little bit more. And all together, sounds really cool and big. Yeah, so for the drums, I did a thing a little bit different, and I don't know if this is like going too crazy on the drums, but I added like a very quick rim. So this is like a rim for like when you hit the rim of a snare or whatever. This is just that sound. But I'm playing it super fast just to add to the transient of the snare. So this is the the drums without the transient that I added. So without the transient, to me, like the kick sounds kind of like eh. And then I add this little transient to the sound. And suddenly the just that quick rim shot and then, very initial part of the sound, just adds a whole lot to the drums. But, I think the drums might be too loud in this track, but to me it sounds good, but I feel like in a big sound system, the drums might be like, like way too loud. But, I don't know, in like regular headphones, it sounds pretty good to me. It still sounds a little maybe too loud, but for one of the sounds over here, I did add, there's some sounds I didn't make, like there's a sound over here. I did use flex for this. I gotta figure out what they did for the sound. It sounds like a delay, but then the delay is being like pitch modulated, and it gives it a really cool, and it sounds like the panning is going left to right too, and that's, I don't know, that's a really cool sound. And then I just layered, this vocal, and I layered both of these. And this is that sample from before, just this is actually my voice, pitch corrected. Please rescue me from this freeze. So that was me singing, and I just chopped up me singing that, and then just made a vocal chop with it. That was a song that I did not want to show anybody because I feel like it needed a lot of work. And this beginning, I'm just messing with. I added a separate channel, so all of my sounds, everything is being fed into this Master Effects. I kind of like doing this, so feeding everything into Master Effects so that you can add low and high pass filters to your sounds. But then I decided that impacts shouldn't actually be. I decided that impacts are probably something that can be routed to the channel, but something that it shouldn't be in Master Effects, because I want that boom without having any effects on the high and low pass. So the Master Effects, everything for the most part, not almost everything, is being sent to this, and it's just a low and a high pass filter, to control the energy in the beginning. This is the low and the high pass. So this is just some white noise. I know people think white noise might be overused, but I still like doing it all the time. So some white noise from 3XOSC being, filtered, the resonance, and then the, just this low pass filter being, modulated. Shows it right here, modulation X, modulation Y, but I don't physically see it moving. It's kind of weird. So just a low pass filter. So I added, some high cutoff, before the impact, and then after the impact it kind of went down, and then rising it back up to increase the energy. Then like a little bass drop right here. And then I added some kicks without the transients, and then I re-added the transients here, or here I think. Then just the vocal by itself to like add to the suspense or whatever. So yeah, I guess that's most of the breakdown of the song. Then there's this sound, which I think is a really cool sound. Another thing I made in an FM synth, just a sine wave being modulated by like a sine wave with like some extra frequency content in it. And I think I have, what do I have? But yeah, I think it's a really cool sound to add, to layer with a bass. So with the bass layer, oh, that's not the bass layer. Oh, it is. It's already right here. This is without the bass layer, then with the bass. I think I low pass the sound obviously a little bit. But it's just a really cool sound. And I changed the vocal chop a little bit right here. Sometimes I debate whether like that layer is ruining it or helping it, because when I listen to it in a phone, it kind of sounds like too much with that layer. I think what I should have done is probably take this out, maybe. Yeah, I think that's what I should have done. Yeah, that sounds a whole lot better. And then, for most of the song, I'm just doing the simple boots and cats, which sounds nice, but I don't like having the same drum groove throughout the whole song. I like to eventually change it up. I like, to change it up a little bit. But I guess, that's pretty much a breakdown of the song. Uh, yeah, hopefully you found it interesting.